Finding your purpose in life will happen when you step into manhood. I'm 19, right? So I graduated high school about a year or two ago. And one of the questions I think about a lot every now and then, what actually is a man? What makes someone a man? And I don't mean biologically like on some transgender stuff like where the libs arguing. I mean, what takes a boy into manhood and makes him a man? When I was younger and I first started creating content on TikTok, I consumed and did a lot of the red pill type content, the red pill-esque stuff. And so I'm sure if you would have asked me back then, I thought the epitome of masculinity, I thought manhood was being able to get women. Like your body count is what mattered the most, until you realize that most of the men that talk about that stuff, that teach that stuff, cheat on their wives, cheat on their girlfriends, and they encourage it to other people. That is not a man. And then I thought about it even more. I was like, well, what happens when you get married, right? You have a wife, then you're a man. If being married was the thing that made you a man, then that means the men that go home and beat their wives are somehow now men. They're not. And then I thought, well, it's once you have kids, man. Once you have kids, then everything changes, right? Everyone always says that. Once they have kids, their whole life changed. But there's abusive parents. There's parents who don't care about their kids, who desert them. So being a parent doesn't put you into manhood. The thing that'll put you into manhood, and I think it's the thing that'll help you find your purpose too, is responsibility. And all of those things I just listed, right? When you start dating, when you get married, when you have kids, those are potential for responsibility, and I think that's a big piece of it. But when you take on responsibility, you're forced to grow. That's the first thing. But also when you take on responsibility, it creates humility. Something people will ask me a lot about is like, how do you control your pride and stuff, right? Especially when you're walking with God. Well, the key is actually humility, right? You need to be more humble, but you don't become more humble by trying to be more humble. You become more humble by thinking about yourself less. And I think that's what responsibility does. I think that's what manhood actually leads you into, because then it leads you into like the definitive traits about being a man, about being a great dad too. I think about my stepdad, right? I played baseball growing up for I think 8 years and basketball for 7 or 8 too. I can count on a single hand how many games he actually missed. And that's such a small example, but like it proves the point that I'm trying to hit on. Responsibility is the first step. I think if you're struggling with depression, you feel lost, all of these types of things, especially for young men, this is really common now. I think it's responsibility. I think that's the key. Take on responsibility, and I think it'll start to give you a sense of purpose. Also, Jesus talks a lot about sowing seeds, right? You sow and you reap. Sowing, right? Planting a seed is an action. It's the things that you do, and then eventually you will see a harvest on it. So maybe the action you should take if you don't know your purpose, first of all, is let's just start taking on some responsibility. Whether that's volunteer work or coaching younger kids, or maybe you've been holding back on starting a business or something like that, and you go to actually start that business. And then also just taking responsibility for your own life. Going to the gym, actually eating healthy so you can clear up your skin. Taking care of like even the small places in your room, even if you're like a younger guy, like middle school, high school, whatever, even just like your room and stuff, just making sure it's clean. It's so simple and it sounds so dumb, but it's kind of the truth. I'm pretty sure Jordan Peterson talks about that in one of his books. I've never read it, but I'm pretty sure he talks about that. And then once you do that, I think you can go into step 2, which is when you submit to God and God reveals your purpose for you. I think there's a divine reason that God put all of us here. Genesis 1:2-6 says we are all created in the image of God. Here's the thing though, none of us are exactly the same. We're all a bit unique, right? We're all a bit different, which means even though we were all made in the image of God, we were all given a different aspect of his creativity. And truth be told, I don't think you can be successful in life if you don't fulfill your God-given purpose. You don't discover, work towards, and accomplish the reason that God put you here. I genuinely believe that. Nothing else can really do it. It's not money, it's not relationships, it's not like anything. It's not anything. And if you do think it's one of those things, then you're saying intrinsically, if it's say money, then Paul, who wrote pretty much all of the New Testament, was an unsuccessful person. Or if you think it's relationships, well, Paul wasn't married, so therefore Paul must have failed. He must have not had any purpose in life. See, that's what I mean. It's fulfilling your God-given purpose. That's what actually is going to complete your life. That's what you're actually here for. And maybe that will involve having a wife and kids. In fact, for most men, even if you think that's not you, most likely it is you. I know a lot of people think they're going to go down the Paul route. That's just not true for most people, dude. You're just young and you haven't had a lot of experience yet, and you need to develop yourself more. And as you become more social and you keep walking with the Lord, you're going to meet a great girl. It's going to happen. We must seek our God-given purpose. That's what we have to do. That's the step 2. You submit yourself to Christ so that he can reveal the purpose to you. Seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open. Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. And then once you do find your purpose, you put your life, you center your life around fulfilling that purpose. And you design your life and you allow yourself to be molded by the fire, as the Bible would say. You allow yourself to go through hard times and difficult things and grow in all types of ways that you need to so that you can fulfill that purpose. And maybe that will involve monetary gain. Maybe part of your purpose will be to start a business. The Bible does not warn about acquiring acquiring wealth, it warns about the love of wealth, loving money, because it's a temporal thing and it's going to pass away. I just need to throw that in there. Stop thinking poverty is piety, that you're a good Christian only if you're poor. That's not true. It's not biblical at all. Truth is, we develop ourselves in every way so that we can fulfill our purpose, so that we can be almost like a weapon for God, so that you're versatile in all these types of ways. But that starts with submission to Christ, and then all these things will be added onto you. And it's so interesting because then those things we talked about in the beginning, where it's like the wife or the kids or the loving family or the like whatever it is, money, those are then really just things so that you can give to other people, so you can love other people. I heard a quote from an entrepreneur one time that said, you may not come from a rich family, but a rich family can come from you. And you could apply that to anything. You may not come from a loving family, but a loving family can come from you. You may not have been a loving father, but a loving father can come from you. It's all these types of things, man. All of it can be added onto you when we submit to Christ. I think that's how we find our God-given purpose. And if you're willing to go through the process, I think you're going to find it. Christ-focused self-improvement is what I teach. I have a community down below where we actually teach you how to find your purpose. We have a 4-week blueprint on conquering the lust. There's confidence courses, socialization courses, spiritual courses, and the community, it's only been up for like 36 hours at this point, and we're already coming up on 100 members, so it's pretty dope. People love it. So if you are interested, it's not very expensive at all. You can go check it out down in the description. I'm excited to meet you. Christ-focused self-improvement is what I teach. Like, subscribe for more. I'm trying to post every single day, and stay blessed. Peace.